Hello and welcome to the Golden Playbook. On today's video, we are going to dissect a recent DraftKings best ball team that I drafted that ended up implementing the Hero RB strategy to perfection. We did it out of the 4 slot. If you don't know how best ball works, you draft a big, deep team, huge roster. It's a 20-round draft, and you don't have to make any roster decisions during the season. They automatically put in your best players, your highest performing guys for the week. And then if you do good enough, you move on, blah, 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 blah. On DraftKings site, they are full PPR, so a little bit different from Underdog, which is a half PPR, so that slightly adjusts things. But in this one, like I said, we have the 4 slot. The 3 guys in front of us go Jamar, Bijan, and then CeeDee Lamb. So this is perfectly setting us up to grab Jahmyr Gibbs here in the 4 slot. In a full PPR, I prefer Gibbs over Barkley. I think Gibbs is really going to unlock his pass catching work this season. So I love Gibbs in full PPR. And this kind of unlocks the Hero RB work for us, right? We got one of the top 3 studs, and now we can really wait on our second running back. All right, and we are coming up. Drake London, who I was hoping to fall to us, goes a couple slots ahead of us. And then right before us, Ladd McConkey goes. So we have our pick between Achane, Bowers, and if I hadn't gone Gibbs in the first round, I'd probably grab Achane even with the questionable tag. But since we have Gibbs, we don't have to take that risk, and we can grab Bowers, who gets a huge, huge bump in full PPR. I think Bowers and McBride get an even higher jump up compared to the rest of the tight ends. In a full PPR format where touchdowns don't matter nearly as much due to their massive volume, these guys are going to get 90, 100 catches this season. I think Bowers and McBride's value gets even more amplified in this format. And we are up in a couple picks. You see Achane falls to the 212, so people are definitely worried about the calf injury, as am I, as a guy who's, depends on his explosivity in the passing game, in the running game. Having a calf injury can only lead to worse things. Trey McBride goes right in front of us, which would have been a little scary taking Bowers when McBride falls to us. But we're put ourselves into a little bit of a pickle here with Lamar and Hampton being the obvious best available. But at this point, I'm wanting to fully dive into the Hero RB strategy. Almost go Hampton last minute, but I settle on Jackson Smith-Njigba, who I think is another guy who gets a large bump in the full PPR format. I think he's going to be a low ADOT guy, but will find himself with lots of targets, lots of catches in this Seattle offense. Subscribe! All right, and we are a couple picks away here in the 4th. We have Jayden Daniels staring us in the face, which is obviously fantastic value here in the late 4th. With that being said, we already grabbed a stud in Bowers, so going stud QB and tight end just didn't seem viable. So I go ahead and grab Tet McMillan, the high rookie upside, who I think in a full PPR is another guy who could have tons and tons of receptions this season. So I really like our start through 4. We went Gibbs, Bowers, JSN, McMillan, a couple of young receivers with lots of upside, and then of course potential RB1, potential tight end 1. Great start through 4. All right, and Jayden Daniels almost swings back around to us in the 5th, where we would have definitely had to take him, but he goes at the 502. So we are stuck here with guys like Breece Hall, Jameson Williams, Calvin Ridley. Definitely not liking Breece. The vibes around him in New York are not good right now. So we happily grab Jameson Williams, a higher upside guy. I will admit he probably is more valuable on Underdog in the half PPR format, just because Amon-Ra kind of takes a lot of the mid-range receptions. But J-Mo can absolutely have a home run game. He can take the ball to the house on any possession. So J-Mo, definite upside guy, especially in a best ball format where you don't have to predict what games he's going to hit, and he just automatically gets put into your lineups. I really love J-Mo in best ball. All right, and we are coming around here to the 6th. We still have just our one running back as we went with the Hero RB strategy, but there's one guy in particular we are definitely hoping falls to us in the 6th round, and that is none other than Tony Pollard. Of course, there are receiver options we like here, Jalen Waddle, Travis Hunter, but I feel like the tier really falls off after Pollard for the RB2, so he makes it to us, and this is an auto smash pick. I think with the Spears injury, Tony Pollard is in line for another huge, at least start to the season, and Pollard's another guy who will get lots of receptions. Cam Ward will definitely need to dump the ball down to a safety blanket in Tony Pollard, so I think he's definitely the end of a tier for me there. Very happy to grab Pollard as my running back 2 when we went with the Hero RB build. All right, and it swings back around to us in the 7th. Would have loved Travis Hunter to fall to us just for another rookie with some upside, but we do get Jalen Waddle to fall to us, 15 picks past ADP. When I tell you this is an absolute dream scenario when you're doing a hero RB, to have a Jalen Waddle fall 15 picks past ADP, absolute home run to get him as our wide receiver 4. And this is an excellent start through 7 rounds. Really liking our start so far. All right, and then it swings around to us here in the 8th. We have some good options available. Lots of tight ends still there, Hawkinson, Andrews, Ingram, but we did go Bowers, so we should probably wait on tight end. We don't want to put too much stock into the tight end position. Also, a guy like Jordan Mason would be a quality RB3 in this scenario. But this is, again, kind of the end of a tier. I think at receiver, Jauan Jennings, I know he's been dealing with the calf injury in his own right, but I think to get him here at the back of the 8th round as our wide receiver 5 just kind of really puts us in a good situation. San Fran's receiving core has been absolutely decimated. It's now Kittle, Pearsall, and if Jauan Jennings can get back healthy, I think he can continue his success he had last season. So to get him here as a wide receiver 5 is excellent, and I think a solid player will come back to us in the 9th. All right, and it swings back to us here in the 9th, and we have similar running back options available to us. Also, Brock Purdy as a quarterback option to stack with Jauan Jennings, who we just got. And the guy in front of us goes Joe Mixon. So our options are still very widely open. We are kind of debating between Charbonnet, Mason, Brock Purdy, and we end up grabbing Brock Purdy just to have a little bit of comfort at the quarterback position. I think if we waited here, it would have been a bad news on what came back around to us. So would have liked to get our third running back in Mason or Charbonnet, who I'm both high on. Grabbing Purdy gives us a little bit of comfort at the quarterback position. Still loving our start through 9. All right, and back around to us in the 10th. Obviously, Brian Robinson is still there. As we know, he just got traded to the San Francisco 49ers, so I doubt they're going to use him a ton. Probably dispel CMC. They have had running back injuries in their own rights. To me, that makes Isaac Grindle pretty much undraftable at this point. But Brian Robinson does go right before us, who we were really not looking at taking. We kind of take a look at the board. We grab Jared Goff to pair up with JMO, give us double comfort at quarterback. Knowing this, I maybe would have waited on Purdy in the last round, but I definitely don't hate having 2 solid guys that we can kind of ping pong, ceiling weeks off of. So I really like where the quarterback room is at now. We currently have 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 5 receivers, and 1 tight end through 10 rounds. Swinging back around to us in the 11th, David Njoku staring us in the face, 20 picks past ADP. So we take a look at what is down the board, but knowing darn well we are not going to pass on David Njoku, especially with the news that Joe Flacco is now the starting quarterback. As we know, in 2023, David Njoku was absolutely feasting when Flacco was at quarterback. Flacco was just feeding him targets. So Njoku, 20 picks past ADP as our tight end 2. And honestly, we probably could be good at tight end with Bowers and Njoku. But since it is 20 rounds, it's such a deep bench, we'll probably end up grabbing a flyer late as our third tight end. All right, and so luckily there was a little run on quarterbacks who we weren't looking at. So that kind of saved us getting some running back and receiver depth. We end up grabbing Bashal Tutin as our RB3, a guy I'm very high on in that Jacksonville backfield where I think there are lots of touches and opportunities available. I think Etienne and or Bigsby could get traded, and Bashal Tutin is an excellent pass catcher in his own right, which fares well in the PPR format. And then we are on the clock here in the 13th with just the 3 running backs. We are looking to grab our 4th, and staring us in the face is another rookie that I'm very high on in Dylan Sampson. We go ahead and grab him. I know Quinshon Judkins' legal issues just kind of got resolved slightly. I still think the NFL could give their own consequence of some kind, so I am not counting Judkins in the clear quite yet. And he hasn't even signed his rookie contract yet. I know that'll all take place. With all of this said, he hasn't been at camp, going through the reps, mentally, physically, so I still think Dylan Sampson is very, very high upside guy. And considering we waited so long to grab RB2 and then RB3, we want guys later that have some upside to become, the RB1 for their team and give us some pop weeks at running back. So really like the pair of rookies we grabbed in the last 2 rounds. And we are almost on the clock here in the 14th. And to be honest, this is a nasty range for running backs, receivers, just about everybody. So we end up grabbing Geno Smith as our third quarterback And now we have a very, very comfortable high floor, ceiling, maybe not so much, but definitely a high floor quarterback room who I'm very happy with. And Geno is a guy that we've now paired with Brock Bowers to get our stack. And we could also get a later wide receiver like a Dante Thornton or Jack Bech to kind of double stack Geno here. And kind of right on cue, it comes back around to us in the 15th, and we absolutely need a wide receiver. And look none further than the guy I was just talking about, Dante Thornton Jr., near the top of ADP. And like I said, we need a wide receiver bad. We took 5 good ones early, but now is the time to grab a flyer as a 6th who also stacks with Geno and Brock Bowers, kind of buying into this Vegas offense a little bit, who I'm higher on than most, so I'm very happy with this team so far. All right, and it comes around to us in the 16th. I'm scoping out Jonnu. He had a questionable tag, seeing what is going on with him. Turns out to be a knee injury. He missed practice. Is enough to scare me away. I'm sure it's not significant. Plus, we needed another running back anyways, so we grab another high upside guy with Will Shipley, who, if anything happens to Saquon Barkley, obviously he has a huge role in Philly, who obviously is very good at run blocking. So I think grabbing Will Shipley, if anything were to happen to Saquon, is a very, very high-end guy as our running back 5. And through 16 rounds, we have 3 QBs, 5 running backs, 6 receivers, 2 tight ends. We will be looking to fill out our running back and receiver depth at this point. All right, so we are looking at running back options here in the 17th round. There are some higher upside guys for injury like Jalen Wright, Roschon Johnson. But in this moment, we grab Justice Hill, and hear me out. In a PPR format where Justice Hill is going to get lots of third down work, and since we waited so long on our running backs, we need some guys who can give us a little bit of a floor in case we have some guys who give us some stinkers, some duds. Justice Hill could give us a viable 10 to 12 points as our RB2 on any given week, especially with his role on third down being the pass catching back. So this is a great floor play to balance out our high upside guys we shot for in the previous rounds. All right, and we know we need to keep taking shots at running back because having Gibbs and Tony Pollard, although it feels good, anything could happen and we would absolutely need RB points in a bad way. With that being said, Roschon staring me right in the face as a guy who could be fighting for touches with DeAndre Swift in a Chicago offense we're expecting to be better. Who knows? It could be, a Montgomery Gibbs situation with Roschon and DeAndre Swift. Obviously, they're not near the talent that those guys are, but I think Roschon Johnson could have a prominent role, and we need running back options at this point. So we go with him here, and we have 2 picks remaining. All right, and at this point in the draft, obviously the names are getting pretty gnarly. You're just taking shots on guys who you think could have a role if something breaks right, an injury happens, or what have you. So we're looking through our wide receiver options. Obviously, we have the 5 studs, at least 5 hopeful studs. So now we're just taking a shot on a guy. As we scope through our options, we end up settling on Darius Slayton, who I think in this Giants offense, with Russ looking pretty solid, and then Jackson Dart, who has looked very, very good in preseason so far. Obviously, Malik Nabers is going to be the star of the show, but I think Darius Slayton opposite him on the outside. Malik Nabers will be drawing all that coverage. Darius Slayton is a guy who's proven he can put up decent numbers. So with that being said, not expecting a ton out of Slayton, but with improved quarterback play, we could get some spike weeks out of him. And then in this 20th round, we are just queuing up some high upside, younger tight ends, Terrence Ferguson, AJ Barner, Harold Fannin, first and second year guys who I think could be fighting for, prominent roles in their offense. And that is who we will take in round 20 of this draft. I will not make you wait through that. I appreciate you guys watching, and this is really why I love the Hero RB strategy. Grabbing a guy like Gibbs in the first round obviously gives you comfort, and then you can hammer out wide receivers when you have to start 3 of them and a flex. So probably starting 4 of them on a given week. You can really hammer out some good, high-quality wide receivers. And it's really not possible to do that if you don't have the comfort of a solid RB1 like a Jahmyr Gibbs. And then you can also grab a high-end tight end or quarterback. And this one we happen to grab Bowers, obviously our high-end tight end. So comment down below what you think of the team. What grade do you give it? I really like this team. Probably a B+, A- for me. Comment down below what your guys' favorite draft strategy is. My favorite teams have easily come out of this Hero RB strategy. So with that being said, make sure you smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, hit the little bell so you know when I drop a video. I really, really appreciate your guys' support, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.